So I, female, 28, have been living at home for the past year and a half, trying to save every single penny for a house down payment, and I'm starting to think my family is about to completely screw me over. Sorry this is going to be long, but I need outside perspectives because I feel like I'm going crazy. Some background. I moved back in with my parents, Barry, male, 58, and Pamela, female, 55, in late 2022 after my lease ended because rent prices in my area are absolutely insane and I was tired of throwing money away when I could be saving. My brother Trent, male, 30, also moved back after his divorce last year, so it's been a full house. My younger sister Kayla, female, 26, doesn't live with us anymore, but she's basically here every weekend anyway. I've been so disciplined about saving, like embarrassingly disciplined. I stopped getting coffee on my way to work, saved me like $150 a month. I eat ramen for lunch most days. I haven't bought new clothes in over a year, except for work stuff. I have these detailed spreadsheets tracking every expense, and I've been putting away almost 70% of my paycheck. I know that sounds extreme, but I was so motivated to get my own place. Anyway, my sister Kayla has always been the princess of the family. She's had 2 previous weddings that my parents fully paid for. Both marriages lasted less than 2 years each, but whatever. Meanwhile, when I graduated college, they got me a practical laptop and told me how proud they were that I could handle my own finances responsibly. Translation: you're on your own, kid. So back in March, I was finally ready to start seriously house hunting. I had my pre-approval letter and everything. I remember this specific Sunday dinner where I was so excited I brought my laptop down and showed everyone my savings progress. I had $35,000 saved. My dad was genuinely impressed, like really proud of me. And then he said something that made me so happy. He said he wanted to contribute $20,000 toward my down payment in front of everyone. He said I deserved it for being so responsible and that it would help me get into a better neighborhood. I was literally shaking. I was so excited. Like finally, I was going to get some help like Kayla always does. Then 2 weeks later, and I swear the timing couldn't have been worse, Kayla announced her engagement on Instagram to fiancé number 3, Derek. At first, I was genuinely happy for her. I mean, 3rd time's the charm, right? God, that sounds awful, but honestly. But then she immediately started planning this massive destination wedding in Hawaii for August. Like we're talking fire dancers and custom leis from Maui and some fancy resort. The family dinner, where she showed us all her plans, was a lot. She brought her iPad and had all these Pinterest boards pulled up. Mom was gushing about how romantic it would be and how Derek seems different from the other guys. Dad was being supportive, but I could see him doing that thing where he calculates numbers in his head while trying to look interested. But here's where things got weird. When I tried to bring up my house hunting timeline, I was hoping to close in June. The conversation just immediately shifted back to wedding stuff. Kayla started crying about how Derek's family was being difficult about contributing costs, and they might have to have a cheap backyard wedding instead. That's when Dad did the thing that made my stomach drop. He started saying how family supports family, and they'd figure something out for her. I asked him directly about my down payment timing, since I needed to know for making offers, and he gave me this vague response about cash flow being tricky right now and needing to see how things shake out. My brother Trent, who has zero filter since his divorce, made some comment about princess parties costing more than most people's cars, which made Kayla storm out. Then Mom spent like 20 minutes lecturing Trent about being supportive while Dad went after Kayla. I ended up staying to clean up the dishes while everyone else dealt with the Kayla situation, which is typical. Later, while finishing up the cleanup, I cornered Dad in the kitchen and asked him again about my money, like really directly. I said I needed to know if the $20,000 was still happening and when, because realtors need actual timelines. You guys, his whole body language changed. He got all defensive and started linking my money to Kayla's situation and talking about how we needed to see how things shake out. He wouldn't even look me in the eye. I've had this sick feeling in my stomach ever since. Like I know what's happening, but I don't want to believe it. My family has a pattern. Kayla has a crisis. Everyone drops everything to fix it. Responsible Christina gets put on the back burner. But this is different. This is my money that was promised to me for something practical and important, not another wedding for someone who can't stay married. Am I being paranoid? Is there a chance Dad is actually just stressed about timing and my money is still safe? Or should I be preparing for the worst? I feel sick even writing this because I love my family, but I'm so tired of being the responsible one who gets nothing while Kayla gets everything handed to her. Now for the first update. Okay, there is so much to unpack here, and honestly, I don't even know where to start. So many of you were right in the comments on my last post, and I wish I had listened because everything has gone exactly as bad as you all predicted, maybe worse. This happened about 2 weeks after my original post. I was driving home from work on a Tuesday, already exhausted because my boss had been on my case all day about some stupid quarterly reports, when I got this text from my mom at like 4:47 p.m. saying, "Need you here now, Kayla situation. Not, can you come over, or when you get a chance, but literally need you here now." I knew immediately something was wrong because Mom only uses that tone when there's like actual trouble happening. I turned the car around and headed straight to my parents' house instead. So I get home and it's a complete shit show. Kayla is sobbing on the couch, like full-on ugly crying, not her usual pretty tears. My mom is rubbing her back, making those there noises. And my dad is pacing around the living room, looking stressed as hell. Apparently, Derek's parents had a serious conversation with him about their financial future, and they decided they weren't comfortable contributing anything to the wedding anymore, like $0. Now I'm thinking, okay, that sucks for her, but people change their minds about money all the time, right? But then Kayla starts wailing about how she put deposits down on everything already, and the final venue payment is due tomorrow, and she needs $25,000, or she has to cancel everything and humiliate Derek in front of his entire extended family. Side note, why is it always about humiliation with her? Like maybe just have a smaller wedding. But here's what happened next. Without even hesitating, my dad told her not to worry and that they'd figure something out and she wasn't canceling anything. I'm standing there like, wait, what about my money that he promised me? The money that was supposed to help me buy a house. The money that was literally earmarked for my future. So after like an hour of family crisis management and Kayla talking about how this is the worst thing that's ever happened, apparently she forgot about her 2 previous divorces, I cornered my dad in the kitchen when he went to get coffee. I asked him directly about the timeline for my down payment money. I told him I needed to know because I was supposed to start making offers soon, and realtors want to see proof of funds. You guys, his whole body language changed again. He started doing that thing where he won't look me in the eye, and he told me cash flow was really tricky right now, and they needed to see how things worked out with Kayla's situation. I pressed him harder and asked when exactly my money would be available, and he just kept giving me these vague non-answers about working things out and priorities. I had this horrible sinking feeling, but I convinced myself maybe he was just stressed and needed time to figure out logistics. God, I was so naive. The family meeting went super late, so I ended up staying overnight at my parents' house, which turned out to be the worst decision ever. The next morning, Dad got up early to shower before work and left his phone on the kitchen counter. I know snooping is wrong, and normally I would never do something like that, but after months of feeling like I was being lied to, I couldn't help myself. I'm not proud of what I did next, but honestly, what would you have done in my situation? I checked his banking app, and there it was, a transfer from that morning at 6:47 a.m., $25,000 to Kayla's account. My $20,000 plus, an additional $5,000. My hands were literally shaking looking at the screen, like physically trembling. When Dad came downstairs, I confronted him with the evidence. I showed him his own phone with the transfer right there and asked him to explain. He got so defensive immediately. He admitted he gave Kayla the money, but kept insisting he didn't have a choice because she was having a complete breakdown and he'd figure out my situation later once the wedding stress was over. I asked if he was kidding me. I told him he promised me that money in front of everyone, and now he was acting like my house was some kind of optional luxury, while her third wedding was an emergency. That's when my mom found us arguing in the kitchen, and of course, she immediately took Dad's side. She said I had time to save more money, while Kayla had hard deadlines that can't be moved. Hard deadlines for a party, while I'm trying to build an actual future for myself. My brother Trent heard us from upstairs and came down making comments about Kayla throwing another expensive party while people who actually work for a living get screwed. Which honestly didn't help the situation, but at least someone was acknowledging how insane this all was. The fight got worse pretty quickly after that. Mom started crying about how we were tearing the family apart, and Dad kept saying he'd make it right eventually, but couldn't give me any actual timeline. I realized in that moment that my house search was officially over, like completely done, for at least another year, maybe longer. I don't know. I can't even describe it properly. It wasn't just anger, it was this deep disappointment that I don't think I'll ever get over. The worst part, later that day, Kayla posted on Instagram about her wedding countdown with all these grateful posts about family who support your dreams unconditionally and feeling so blessed to have parents who believe in love. I wanted to throw my phone across the room. That evening, I spent like 3 hours researching everything I could find about her wedding online. I found the resort website, the wedding hashtag she'd been using, all her Pinterest boards that were public. During my lunch break the next day, I called the Grand Wailea Resort, pretending to be Derek's cousin, who lost the invitation detail. Apparently, it's really easy to get information about wedding events when you sound like family, asking innocent questions about cocktail party timing and reception logistics. The lady was super helpful and told me all about the welcome party, the ceremony setup, and how they have an open toast format during dinner, where family members often share special moments. I'm not sure why I was gathering all this information, but something was forming in my mind. Like a plan, maybe. I don't know. I ended up using my work laptop to book a flight with the airline miles I'd been saving for vacation. Put in for a family emergency day off. It's been 3 weeks since the money transfer, and everyone keeps calling to check on my disappointment, like I'm a toddler who didn't get the toy I wanted. They all assume I'm just sulking at home, feeling sorry for myself. They have no idea what I'm actually planning. Information to add. Since people are asking about Trent's reaction, yes, he's been super supportive, but he's also dealing with his own stuff from the divorce, so he hasn't really gotten involved beyond making sarcastic comments. He did text me later that night saying, "This family is completely fucked up and you deserve better," which honestly meant a lot. To those wondering if I've talked to a lawyer about getting my money back, I looked into it, but since there was no written agreement and it's family money, technically, there's not much I can do legally. The $20,000 was always a gift, even though it was promised for a specific purpose. For everyone saying I should just cut contact with my family, I mean, yeah, that's probably the healthy thing to do, but it's easier said than done when you've been conditioned your whole life to put family first. I'm working on it, though. The Hawaii trip will help me gain some perspective on just how toxic this whole dynamic really is. Now for the second update. Okay, there is so much to unpack here, and honestly, I can't even believe I actually did this. So, I went to Hawaii. I actually fucking did it. I know that sounds completely insane, and maybe it was, but after sitting with what happened for like 3 weeks, I couldn't let it go. Everyone kept telling me to move on and be the bigger person, while Kayla got to have her perfect dream wedding funded by my money. The flight was honestly the longest 5 hours of my life, because I kept going back and forth between this is the right thing to do and oh my god, I'm about to ruin a wedding. But then I'd think about my spreadsheets and my ramen lunches and how proud my dad looked when I showed him my savings, and I'd get angry all over again. I packed this navy blue dress that I thought would look wedding appropriate, but not too fancy. Like I wanted to blend in, you know? The whole plan was just to see what this $25,000 party actually looked like in person. But then I got to the resort, and it was so much more expensive than I expected. Like really expensive. There were these custom ice sculptures everywhere, and the flowers alone probably cost more than my car payment. And I just kept thinking about how my dad said there wasn't enough money for both of us. The welcome cocktail thing was outside, and there were so many people I didn't recognize. Destination weddings are weird like that. Half the guests are meeting each other for the first time anyway. So when people asked who I was, I just said I was Derek's cousin, Sarah from Portland. It was scary how easy it was to just fit in. People kept introducing me to other people as Derek's cousin, and nobody questioned it. I met like 6 of Kayla's college friends, and they were all gushing about how magical everything was and how Kayla deserved this after everything she'd been through. Everything she'd been through. Right. I spent most of dinner just watching everything, and honestly, trying not to think too hard about what I was doing there. The food was incredible, and everyone kept talking about how perfect and romantic it all was. Derek seemed genuinely happy, which actually made me feel kind of bad. Then after the best man speech, the wedding coordinator announced they were opening it up for family toasts, and that's when my heart started pounding. Like I could literally hear my pulse in my ears. I don't even remember walking up to the microphone, but suddenly I was standing there looking at everyone, including my parents, who I could see at their table looking confused as hell. I gave this toast about love conquering all and how that's what we were celebrating. I talked about how love helps us prioritize what really matters and how some people save for practical things like houses, but true love recognizes that some dreams are more important than others. Then I mentioned how this gorgeous celebration was made possible by understanding that a woman's wedding day only happens once. Well, in Kayla's case, 3 times, but this one feels different. I ended by saying, may their love story continue to be supported by the sacrifices of those who believe in putting romance before real estate. The whole crowd got really quiet at that point. Then I just walked away, like immediately. I didn't look at anyone. I didn't wait for reactions. I just walked straight through the resort lobby where my taxi was already waiting and went to the airport for my red-eye flight. The whole taxi ride, I was shaking, like full-body tremors. I honestly couldn't believe I'd actually done it. I woke up Sunday morning to 31 missed calls. 12 from Dad, 8 from Mom, 6 from Kayla, 3 from Derek, and 2 from Uncle Warren, who was apparently at the wedding. The voicemails were a lot. Mom's was mostly crying about how I've destroyed the family and ruined relationships that can never be repaired over money that can always be replaced. She kept saying I need to fix this mess immediately. Dad's were worse. He said he never thought his own daughter would embarrass him publicly and that he needs time to process what kind of person I've become before he can even think about forgiveness. But here's the thing. I also got texts from Uncle Warren, my brother Trent, who couldn't make the wedding but heard about everything, and some family friends who were there. And they were supportive. Uncle Warren said he cornered Dad at the hotel bar after the toast and told him he was disgusted by the favoritism. Apparently, he asked Dad what kind of man breaks a promise to one daughter to fund another daughter's 3rd wedding. Some of my parents' friends who were there have been texting me privately saying they've watched this pattern with Kayla for years and someone needed to call it out, which honestly makes me feel less crazy. Trent texted me that it was legendary. Kayla locked herself in her hotel room crying, and Derek's asking Dad about her financial management skills. Dad's having a complete meltdown, and Mom's doing damage control calls to everyone. Derek texted me directly, which was honestly the most surprising part. He just said he thinks we need to talk when he gets back, and that he had no idea about the down payment situation. Kayla's Instagram has been completely scrubbed. Like all the wedding countdown posts are gone, her wedding hashtag disappeared from her bio, and there are 0 wedding photos posted, which for someone who documents everything is telling. The best part, and I feel terrible for enjoying this, but whatever, is that Uncle Warren said Derek's mother cornered my dad at the hotel bar, asking pointed questions about Kayla's financial dependency and whether this kind of family enabling was typical behavior. She apparently suggested Derek might want to reconsider some financial decisions. Over the next few days, I decided I couldn't stay under the same roof anymore and moved out to a tiny studio apartment last week. The tiny studio apartment I can afford while saving again isn't much, but it's mine, and nobody can use my rent money for someone else's party. Do I regret it? I honestly don't know. Part of me wonders if I went too far, but mostly I feel proud that I finally stood up for myself after years of being the responsible one who gets screwed over. Uncle Warren called yesterday and offered to help with a future down payment when you're ready to buy a house like a responsible adult. But I'm not sure if I'll ever accept family money again. This whole thing has shown me how quickly promises can disappear when someone else needs something. I have no idea if my family will ever forgive me. Dad won't return my calls, and Mom keeps sending these guilt trip texts about how I've broken her heart. Kayla hasn't contacted me at all. But you know what? I'm sleeping better than I have in months, even in this crappy studio apartment with the noisy neighbors. Maybe that means something. Edit. Since people are asking about Derek, Yes, he's been texting me. Apparently, Kayla had a complete breakdown at the hotel after the toast, and some things came out about her spending habits that he wasn't aware of. He said he wants to understand the full family situation before they move forward with combining finances, which, yikes for Kayla. For everyone wondering about my parents' reaction, they're basically doing damage control with the extended family right now. Uncle Warren told me at least 3 other relatives have called them with concerns about how they treat their kids differently. So it's not just me saying it anymore. To those asking if I feel bad about ruining her wedding, look, I feel bad that Derek got caught in the middle of family stuff on what was supposed to be his special day. But Kayla, she's had 3 weddings funded by other people, and this one was paid for with money that was promised to me. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.